One more time, we have guests Craig Jacobson and Paul Sokol. And we are going to be talking about events today. And I don't know, this is going to be just kind of like a coffee shop. Paul, you and I went over some stuff Friday. You kind of
Yeah.
want to just kick
Oh,
it off
yeah,
with
that's
some of
right.
the things we were doing then?
Yeah. So, because we're working on an event, and the Automated Marketing Summit, and we're planning it out just like you would with any good customer experience. And what it really came down to was there was a set of emails to get people to register that just like counted down to the event, and then there was a set of emails after the little magic happened between you know you were using lead pages, and then we registered them in AirMeet, and then that pushed them into the database, released that link, so that way they could get the follow-up emails and say, "Hey, here's your link. Don't use mobile phones." You got to remember that. Tell people not to join on mobile. Are you hearing me, Sean?
No, I
Yeah.
literally can't hear anything.
All right. Well, then I guess what do
But
you
if
think about
if
that?
some
I can hear you very well. You're
but
coming
if
through.
if Craig
Yeah,
can hear you, then it's
I
me.
can hear you. It's good.
yeah.
You just go with it, and I'll try to figure it out.
That's what I was saying. So, like, does that sound about par for the course, Craig? When as far as events go, there's like get people to either register for a ticket or buy a ticket, and then get them to the event.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay. It sounds like, in my way of thinking, Paul, you're describing different types of people that you're then going to run different actions on. So there's people that don't know about it and that haven't visited the registration website. There's they're not sure. They're sort of in this state of ignorance. And then there's people that have been to the website where you describe what we're going to do, and they haven't made a decision. That's the second type of people. And then there's the people that actually typed on the page where they're trying to do something. Maybe they didn't get the registration full, the stoplight changed, or I don't know, something. But there was behavior that indicated that they had heard the story and they're starting to do something. And that's a next type of people. And then there's the people that registered, and then of course for the registered people you run your show sequence of emails or content, and then with the whole, that's the show sequence in my mind, and that is, you're going to make promises of what they're going to get and remind them that they need to do this, that kind of thing. and
Mm-hmm.
then and then after the event, you've got two types of people: those that registered and didn't show, and those that registered and showed. So you have two different narratives that are got to be built based on different types of people. And so, to me, the most foundational thing that we've got to do is to figure out all our different people types and what are the behaviors or criteria we're using to move people into those different buckets. And then you create content, inviting them to, and celebrating what they've done, and then pushing them to do the next step, whatever that is. It might be
That's good
buying,
insight.
might be buying. So it might be buying a ticket, it might be showing up, it might be doing the thing that we're recommending afterwards. But so, to me, the world is very simple: people types, messages, and then actions we're asking them to take. Those are the three most fundamental things in any campaign.
Yeah, and so and I like how it's. Well, I had a question. But you talked about stoplight changed. What is that? What does that mean? You said the stoplight changed. That's
Well, that's the wildest, most unqualified people that are watching this content on their mobile phone, or when they're driving their kid, and all of a sudden they start to do something, and then they just sort of ghost you, and then they come back because the light changed. It was red, and now there's people honking at them, and they got to drive.
Yeah, I call that the cat ran out the door.
Yeah, but it's for them, there's a good reason why they cease being interested in what we're talking about, so that the flow of URLs, or the flow of the click stream, is interrupted usually by some outside force, and that outside force in my mind is usually a stoplight change. I'm not saying that that's what's going on, but that's sort of my little working title for that stage of people.
That's
So,
interesting. So yeah, and so people types, I see that as, it's interesting because yeah, we're doing it to people, and when we're designing it, we're looking at the state changes, I guess. So
yeah,
everybody's
exactly.
going through all the different people types.
Yeah. So the if you go to automatedmarketingsummit.com and you look at the tab, it says super nerds. So we're really targeting, like, one of the things that, in my opinion, what we don't have is we have these events for people, and we talk about, like when you go to church, a Christian church, you got to talk to the lowest common denominator, right? Jesus died, he came back to life for you. But when you're a super nerd, you're like, hey, I want to know, like, the guts of the SaaS software. I want to go in deep. So it's really not for the meek or the people that are just learning. So that's kind of our first target. Now, the other people are welcome, but they're just going to have a hard time at the tables when we're discussing in-depth technologies.
I mean, that's okay. Let them.
Yeah.
Let them.
Well, that's our avatar. That's who we're targeting.
Yeah, I mean, that is our customer profile. I'm looking for the super nerds tab. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe it's.
Are you at automatedmarketingsummit.com?
Yeah, I am.
Look at the
super
tab.
nerds.
Look at the tab in your browser.
Oh, that's funny.
So
Yeah.
it spawned a new tab and a new window.
No, the title of the window says Super Nerd. So instead of like we're on like Google Calendar, like in Google Calendar, blah blah, or like we're in Restream, so it's like live studio Restream, blah blah blah. Sean has put Super Nerd almost as like an Easter egg. So if anything, that could be like call to action, for Super Nerds only, register now. I don't know. It's like
Well, it's kind of like what we're doing right here. These live streams, they're going to LinkedIn, Facebook, all over the place, Twitter, Periscope, and we're streaming out to like 30 different places. And the only people that are going to stay and listen to this are super nerds. And it's like, I want the business owner to pay attention, but a super nerd is going to have 25 clients of business owners, and so we really want to make a big impact in the world through marketing automation. And it's not going to be the business owner. They don't have time to figure this stuff out.
So let's make it easier and accelerate that learning. So I guess to sum it up, based on what we've talked about so far, if you've got an event, you're going to have a series of marketing activities that takes people through from their different types of levels of awareness, that stuff, even to the people that the stoplight changes, right? So they're in the middle of doing something, and then oh no, something happened, and we got to show up again to close the sale, and then everything after registration, and then Craig, something that we shown you and I missed this is based on if the attendee shows up or not, segmenting it that way. Because we were just going to send a survey to everybody that registered, but it probably makes way more sense to and of course we know this. It's not like that's a new concept. It's almost like a kid thing. You forget these things because there's just so many different options. It's like being a master Lego builder. There's so many different pieces you can put together, and sometimes you forget. Oh yeah, you can. Here's this little structure that's really good at this thing.
Yeah. So what I usually like for your event that's coming up, the people that registered and don't show, I normally send them, sorry you missed it. Here's the replay link. It's a little special bonus for you, kind of thing. So I send them the replay. And actually, after the event, if I've categorized right, people that were interested, that the light changed, they didn't buy, but they were interested. I treat them like people that registered and give them the replay link too, because you're trying to expand the base after people are exposed to some knowledge, getting them to take an action.
That's interesting. So even if they don't register, but we can identify they were super hot, we'd want to let them know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like something like if your band was playing and one of your buddies is like, "Yeah, I'm stoked to go," and y'all been talking about it for weeks, and then like, his cat dies or something. You're like, you would still send that person, "Hey man, here's the recording, or here's whatever we offered. You missed it. Hope your cat's okay."
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, the whole thing with the signed in didn't buy with the last event that we did, and again, these aren't pitch fests; they're workshops. So when people show up, we're not going to say, "Well, here's the software and it does this and buy it." We're like, "Here's the software. This is how it works. Fill out this workbook so you know how it works, and if you want it, buy it." And people buy it. But then some people, there's me being famous. Some people are on the fence. So that would be the people that signed up, stayed, but didn't buy. And then another way I need to segment it is, since we're using real conference software, people that actually went to see the speaker, that went to the workshop, because there's other people that didn't. So I got to figure out who went to the workshop and who didn't buy.
Yeah, like when I've used like I haven't done this with live events as much, but what I usually do is for the event, people that registered and left, that showed and left, it just didn't stay to the end, they get a different type of content than people that stayed to
Mm-hmm.
the end. And the question is, when you're kind of thinking about types of people, you're then trying to figure out a behavior that they've taken and then an action that's appropriate to that behavior so that you can structure your follow-up properly.
Right.
Because really all we're doing is distributing specific messages based upon their behaviors. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think of it in terms of the types of their behaviors, but you could do it based on types of people. If you want to add in sort of the world of data enrichment, you talk to people with a booming business, a big business, differently than people that are sort of in the early stages. If they've got a less mature business, maybe they've got no team or a small team compared to a huge team, because then the narrative would be different. The narrative is like the story, like the messages that you're sending them. And so there's, in my world, I think about there's types of people. There's a lot of different types of people you can come up with. It can be those criteria for types of people can be based upon your enrichment of the list, um, political party, age, stage of life, economic, demographic. It can be firmographics. It can be gender. It can be a lot of different things. And all your
What's a firmographic? Can I raise my hand real quick? Because I hear that word a lot, and I feel like it's a really specific type of psychographics, or like a real, or like maybe it's a B2B thing. Like, I don't know, what's firmographics?
firmographics is, demographics are the attributes of an individual: age, gender, race,
Stuff you can see.
um, make and model of car, registration, home ownership versus renter. Those are all sort of demographic things.
Yeah.
Presence of children in the household. Do they like dogs? Do they like cats? Do they give money to charity? Those are all demographics. Firmographics is the companies they work for. So it's you're appending a human being into a company, and you know the title, how long the business has been in place. I routinely do that. I use a lot of data enrichment that's kind of essential to my practice. And I use a software called Versium. It's a subscription thing. You push your list in, and it will give me. Actually, I could show you an example, but let me describe it better. It's like these people work at the most recent one I was looking at is somebody sent me a list of the 30,000 buyers in their business, and 99% of them worked for privately held companies. No, very few of them worked for publicly traded companies or franchises. They were the companies. Each location had less than 10 employees, and the company had been in business for 20 years. So that's it. There, that when you understand the dimensions of the data of where they work, that tells you how to shape your messages to them. And one of the other things is, are they a C-level or are they, not a C-level employee in that company?
Yeah.
What kind
And
of
that would, those
responsibility?
would be, that would be for a certain type of avatar. But
Yeah.
for this particular event, like we have 3 events. We have the Automated Marketing Summit, the Digital Marketing Conference, and then the Business Investor Conference. And so with the Automated Marketing Summit, we're really targeting the super nerds. So they're going to be the individuals with Macs. Why anyone would use a Mac computer, I have no idea. But
I don't know, weirdos.
those are the people we're targeting. And so it's funny when you say demographic, because I kind of throw in there, we don't put a hippie on a military base. So this guy wanted me to buy his a Facebook group that had 1 million people in it. And so when I said, what are the demographics, he showed me like how many men and how many from America and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but if you give me a bunch of hippies and I'm selling AK-47s, I don't want that Facebook group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess that there's a different word there. But really, again, with the traffic, this is the hard part, getting the traffic, getting the butts in seats, because it takes a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of specific ways of doing the emails, building the list, running the Facebook ads. And I guess we would get the demographics from the Facebook ads. So before they even come in the event, we're going to get the analytics from the ads, right?
Well, yeah, somewhat.
And you were saying you could take a list and upload it, and then that will, I wonder if I have any software that does that, but that will give you.
Yeah. Data enhancement software. I remember Infusionsoft testing that back in the day when I was data sciencing or whatever. Like you get an email that finds everybody's social and where
If
they're
you're
from.
going to share your screen, we're streaming live, so
Okay.
don't share any
So hide,
passwords.
so hide all the lewd dog photos. That's interesting though, the idea of if they showed up and attended like the workshop or the keynote or didn't, because we totally can have that reporting, which is pretty cool. That's a big opportunity that if anything, we can ask everybody to take the survey but pass, a simple yes no through the hidden fields to JotForm, and if we know they attended the workshop, then they get the workshop part of the survey. Otherwise, they just don't. We didn't even ask them, did you attend the survey? We know.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to figure that part out.
No, that's what I'm here to help out with, dude. I just said it. I just figured that's it. You figured that.
Oh, those are in this.
Either have like a yes no field or something for if they attended the latest workshop.
Well, it might be in the software. The software might tell you where they go. Oh, you know what? It does, but I have to pay for that, and I'm a cheapskate.
Whatever, if we can download the raw analytics, we can process the data ourselves. I guess I was thinking about it from a keep standpoint. The assumption is we know they attended or not the workshop or the keynote, and then we push a survey link that has those as yes or no on the URL, and then JotForm's expecting those.
Yeah.
So no workshop, no keynote.
Once they get in the conference center, and as these become more successful, then I'll invest in those analytics. But right now, there's a lot of analytics I don't get.
Yeah.
Our own pixels in there, dang it.
I've talked with them. I've asked them to give it to me, or at least give me a discount. They won't do it.
Yeah, they just need to give us our pixel in the event, and then we can run our own analytics. I don't get it. I gotta be mean like that. It's like 2 lines of code. Are you there, Craig? Are you? Or actually,
I'm still there. I lost where the window is. I went to look at. I was going to show you an example of a list enrichment if you wanted to understand it better, because I'm a show rather than tell a guide. So I can't figure out where this.
Okay, when you find it, let us know.
Where the
So
share?
what was interesting to me, because we were talking about the customer profile and target avatar and all that, because yeah, you definitely have like the demographics of what you can see, and then there's like the psychographics of what you can't see, in their head, like where they get information and their affiliations. But then the firmographics is like the part of their economic engine, because like you said, don't put a hippie, on a military base shown. Like they may have all the aptitudes and all the belief systems, but if psychographically they're like a hippie, again, I'm sorry, yeah, they may have all the aptitude stuff for the firm, for the business they work at, but if psychographically they're hippie, it's going to be a culture mismatch.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. So we have we have some testimonials. So what Cassandra said, she owns Fuse,
FortiPay, I think.
Affiliate Dash, and anyhow, well, I see the private chat. But the thing what she said is she liked the fact that we got right down to business. So what you find at a lot of other events, they're like, I was born really poor and I had to shovel coal when I was 7,
Yeah,
and I stubbed my toe, and then and we're just like, hey, welcome, boom, and we get right into it. We don't go through any of that psychobabble that a lot of other people go through. Have you been able to figure out how to share your screen yet, Craig?
I'm sharing it on behalf of Craig.
I just put it in the private chat window.
No, I saw it.
Yep, I'm sharing my screen. Feel free. I'll scroll for you or click on something, Craig, whenever you need it. This is your thing. So, I mean, it's cool looking. So, what are we looking at here? What is this thing?
This is Versium. This is a data enrichment company. So it's a subscription model. I pay, I don't know, 500, 1,000 a month or something like that for it. And what we have here is my first step with a customer is I ask them to give me their email list so I can see who we're talking to. Because really, I think that most marketing is very simple. What we're trying to do is to figure out the who and give them a relevant message and invite them to take an action. That's really the 3 things that we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to know who the people are, because that would tell me how I should segment them to make it more relevant. So James is the customer here. He's kind of an info marketing guy that sells gardening information and gardening supplies. And so his customers are 51% female. What percent married? 56%.
55, 8, yeah.
So slightly more likely to be married than not married. And they live in the following states that you can see in the color area: Florida, Texas, California, and
Washington, and then Utah.
And Utah, and in other states a little bit less engaged. So when you see the data like this, you can scroll down through it. You can see more about them, the age that they are, the income level that they have. They didn't give us any of this information. This data is coming from third-party enrichment.
Oh yeah.
So they have most of them don't have children at home.
That's interesting. Yeah. So now the question is, did that mean they don't have children, or are they adult children? Which it may be adult children. Looking at these, they tend to be older. Yeah. Actually, most of this list is 45 and up.
Exactly. So then all of a sudden, when you see your who, you've got an idea of how to talk to them. And you get some ideas on 3 different types of people that you might want to talk differently to.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you exactly how to talk to this person. They're a boomer that is, more than likely to be educated, but not necessarily at a super, so we still want to write it at like a normal 7th grade reading level, whatever it is,
And if you're looking at ethnicity and age, you've got an idea of what kind of testimonials to use to be relevant to them, or what kind of hero pictures to use on our sales page where we're trying to reflect back to them somebody like them that might be interesting to them.
Right. And even the things that we reference, so maybe talking about People magazine instead of like Jet, for example, because you're probably going to read one way more likelier than the other.
Okay. So seeing the who, this is seeing it through data, but you have to be able to see it through sort of this intuitive sense of being able to feel because get a message to work, it's got to be specific and emotional and relevant to them. So that's sort of in the second phase of how I think. The first phase is all about the types of people and how many different types of people do we have going on here? And then how many different types of messages we're going to use to resonate with those people. And then inviting them, we tell them a story and then invite them to take an action. And so, I'm sort of like when you're starting a project, it's like, how many different types of people do we have? How many different types of actions do we need? We're trying to get them to take. And then are the actions all built? Do we have enough of these people, or do we have to have sort of the audience definitions of people we advertise to, that they haven't been able to get them to click on an ad to come to a page? So they're sort of not ours there. They're just sort of out there in the ethos. But the most important thing is, how do we get relevant? How do you get a high click rate, a high action rate, of getting our content to work really well for them? And that is, you've got to go in and tell them something which is relevant to them and emotional. And so then you're starting to think about what kind of content would be relevant to these type of people in this stage.
How big was the sample size on that list, Craig? How many roughly was that? Do you remember? Are you allowed to ballpark it?
This is relatively small. This is about an 8,000 person list.
Okay, still though, really statistically relevant. Like that's enough to do plenty of damage.
Yeah, once I've got 1,000 matches in the data set, I can start to do these decision science, business intelligence techniques.
That's great.
They tend to work. They tend to work better with larger numbers. They work less well under smaller numbers, because the problem is you get down into small numbers, the law of small numbers applies. Like one more person raising their hand to something skews their entire view of the population, or one more person added that is super high income suddenly changes the entire pool. If it's a very small pool, the mean value of it. So there's a lot of distortion. So as the sample size goes small, the signal to noise ratio increases. And as the number of people come through, the signal noise ratio cleans up, and you can start to get them, they're less fuzzy. You can actually start to see exactly these people and these messages starting to resonate together.
Do you have an engineering background, Craig? Because the electrical engineer in me just geeked out hearing, oh, the SNR, the signal to noise. Or is that just a thing?
Well, my business partners are all engineers.
Okay, perfect.
And data scientists. Anyway, so
There you go.
I've absorbed a lot of thoughts from them. They've also they've absorbed a lot of marketing speak and ideas that we have.
I like it. Yeah.
But
You're
no,
totally right.
my background was economics and mathematics. I did a lot of programming early in my career, before it was cool.
So since we're streaming live, how would we when it comes to the automated marketing summit, how would we grow that list? How are we going to get butts and seats? What do we need to do to get more people to understand this?
So there is a large number of small businesses in America, about 30 million small businesses.
Yeah, but our avatar is super nerds.
Okay, if you're looking at super nerdy, what are the characteristics of those people? They would probably have certain software. They could visit certain websites.
The first thing is they think a certain way. So they think it's a visual for me, but the way I think and the way I tell people is you put a dot in the middle and then a big circle around it, and then you go from the dot outward, and you just think big, and then you got to build from the outside in and reverse engineer and all that stuff. But there's a certain way that these people think. And another thing is that they're in social media. There's a few things that I need to do to get this event to go big in 2024. One of those are get world-class speakers, and world-class speakers are going to bring more people. So I found I listened to a lot of podcasts, and one of the ones I was listening to the other day, Ryan Dice said, well, how do you get Martha Stewart to your stage? And he's like, all of these celebrities, they have to stay relevant. So when you invite them, they're waiting for people to invite them to the stage. So there's a lot of people out there just waiting for me to say, hey, can you come to this event? So that's one. The other thing is I have this software called Up Viral. And what that does is it gets everyone to promote the event. And they go out there and it goes out in social media. And whoever promotes the most, it does the analytics. And then they win like a tablet or a t-shirt or a free coaching call with Paul Sokol, right? So I have to build all this stuff. And that's what Paul and I are working on Fridays, is building. And that's what really kind of what we're talking about here, is building all this stuff and getting that message out. So the avatar is going to be someone that thinks big in marketing and reverse engineers funnels, reverse engineers anything marketing. So they can look at a website and go, I know exactly what's happening there. Or go through a funnel and go, I know exactly how to build that better than the one that they built. That's what I do.
So you're describing a way of thinking. I mean, there's no way of building audiences off of way that people think. You've got to reach into the behaviors of what do they do. So because of how they think, what are the actions they take are different. Do they visit certain URLs? Do they join certain groups?
Yeah, so it's high level, active campaign, anything automated. So it's all of that, people that do bots, people that do messengers, people that do automation in LinkedIn.
What about enterprise level automation? Are we going after people that are doing like Salesforce and like SAP and all that kind of stuff? Or
I'm sure as we get big enough and I can bring people in that we'll talk about that.
Okay, because I mean that kind of automation's that automation's fun and exciting. I got a buddy who does Salesforce and he works for like huge global brands doing like simple automation.
But you got to remember the thing with this and what my job is, and I was saying this in the mastermind group that I was in with you, Paul, in Chandler, Arizona, is when I say online event, everyone goes Zoom. And I go, no, it's not Zoom. This is conference software. So if you go into our conference and you're a Salesforce person and there's 10 other Salesforce people there, you can interact with them. They can give you're looking for that one person to help you with the issue that you have. When I was building enterprise for Microsoft, working with 20, 30,000 nodes, I would have a problem. Like we had a problem that we would send an email through Exchange server from America, and the email would go to Germany and then come back to and we couldn't figure it out. So if we had a bunch of Microsoft engineers in there, one guy would go, oh, it's this, right? So that's what we're trying to develop here, is a petri dish of super nerds that can find that one person that can help them build their business to the next level or help one of their clients.
Yeah. And that's the super nerd aspect of it. I'm looking at the sub-viral thing, by the way. It's interesting.
And again, my job is to get people to realize when it says online event, it means once they get in there, like I'll tell you what, let me just tell you some of the challenges I have. I reached out, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Keep. The first thing I want to say, since I brought up the word Keep, and we're partners with Keep, is if you're watching this and you're a Keep partner, or if you were a Keep partner, especially if you were a Keep partner at one time, get with Kim Mortensen or Kara Pierce. Kara is with a K. Kim Mortensen is just like it sounds, and come back and become a partner. We need the boots on the ground. It's a fantastic program. That being said, when I was in the mastermind,
audience people, these are the people for the summit, like those kinds of folks.
Yeah,
that's who it's for. It's not for the average person off the street.
Right.
But
Anyone that's like a partner that has high level and then has 25 clients and they white labeled high level, go high level, whatever you
yeah,
want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. It's for these super nerd types. And,
so
there's plenty of business out there for everybody.
so
So
that
the so the
so
thing what I'm saying is what my challenge is I have to get out there and I have to say, and Craig, I talked with you a couple months ago about this, and you kind of said, well, put in this, not the subject line, but put in the body of the email. We all know that Zoom sucks. Or, a lot of people have their challenges with Zoom. Once people come to the event, I just want to get this out there. So we reached out to a lot of Keep people, a lot of Keep partners. A lot of them there's a lot of resistance. People aren't replying. I'm getting vendors. And I'm like, look, you're a vendor and all you do is integrate with Keep. This summit, we're going big. We're going ClickFunnels. I want Russell Brunson and those guys on my stage. And the thing is that I'm not getting a response from these guys because once they come to the summit, they're going to know, oh my God, I wish I would have went a long time ago. And I've been listening to Grant Cardone. He says, I just got to shine brighter. I got to build a fire so big that my competitors want to sit by it and be warm. That's what I'm doing here. I'm creating this thing to when people come in, they're like, oh, I wish I would have came sooner. And the vendors, the guys that I said, do you want a booth for free? Those guys that aren't replying, I want them to show up and go, wow, I wish I would have got the booth there and sold some stuff, right? So those are so there's a few avatars. We're going to have attendees, then we're going to have sponsors, and then we're going to have people that have
The
booths.
speakers. Oh, well,
And
then.
speakers.
Well, what's the difference between the sponsors and the booths? Or are they the same thing?
Huh?
Are the sponsors and the booths, those are the same thing, right?
should be the same
No,
thing.
the sponsors can actually just be someone that doesn't want to sell anything. They just want to sponsor the event and give me money to have their thing up there.
Okay.
And then the people with the booths are actually going to be selling stuff at the booth.
Okay.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
you get people that just want to have awareness in your campaign. I don't think there's any people like that. They're going to give you money and not going to show up and sell their stuff or
Well,
talk
no,
about
think
it.
about it. Think about little leagues back in the day. Tony's Pizza would sponsor the team and they'd put his banner up. Tony ain't showing up with a table and an iPad doing lead gen every single little league game. He's not even paying someone to do that. And I think that but they still sponsor. They still have presence.
Yeah, I'm saying the difference between a sponsor and a booth.
Yeah, no, you got to make sure
And
that
all of these people need onboarding, fulfillment. They need
that's
to know the
cool.
why. Why would I sponsor this? Why would I have a booth there? Why would I speak there? Most people go, well, how many people are going to be attending? But
So
what I found, and the guys that are really speakers, a lot of them, some are paid speakers, but some of them are like, I just want to speak every day on a different platform. And just like what happens with me and my podcast, I run out of quality people, and then I got to go back to the next people. When in actuality, I just need to go to the next level. Once I run out of speakers, I got to start reaching out to the guys, and I've got to. And this is my vision. This is who I am. People are going to want to talk on this stage. They're going to be, I can't wait. Because I'm badass. Okay, enough about me. What do you guys think about me?
I think you're great, Sean. You're doing great. I think Jade would also agree that you're doing great.
So that being said, what do you guys think?
I like the idea of 'cause that's what we're tackling next. We're going to be tackling next, Sean, the speaker, the sponsor, and the booth journeys. What do those look like? Those acquisitions. I'm probably going to recommend you use the pipeline because that's going to be the easiest way to keep all that doo-doo in check. And then it'll also help us scale because then we can have eventually somebody that's getting speakers, somebody that's handling sponsorships, multiple people that are handling sponsorships and booths. and we can run it like that from day one,
Yeah.
basically.
So if you think about it, my sponsors before, I had Lead Pages, I had AirMeet, which is our software, which is $35 million VC backed software. It's not like some sip and tea, right? This is real. Lead Pages is like a competitor of ClickFunnels. I've been using them for years. They sponsored the event. And so as we move forward, but with the booth, they did have employees. They also got a booth as well, right? But as we start getting more traffic, the sponsors, even if you don't attend, the sponsors are going to get traffic or brand awareness, and the booths aren't.
Exactly. It's a different. It's just like Craig was saying. It's the awareness. Yeah, you just want top of funnel awareness and show up.
So in my way of thinking, I always think in terms of people, message, and action. So you've defined the second thing. We've talked about types of people. You just talked about the types of actions or the people types. Now now I hear you talking about messages. And so what's in it for them?
Right.
So once you know that you want to get business software, business products that super geeks would subscribe to as sponsors, then you want to start to tell the sponsors in a narrative. We're going to have X number of people. If the number is impressive, you don't tell them that if it's not impressive to them. And you might meet your next customer there. That would be a benefit to them. You're going to meet an X number of customers because we've got a big number of people and they're really motivated and they're hungry for what you're serving. But then the other narrative you can do is these are your direct competitors. There's this company, this company, this company. We're in discussions with them about becoming a sponsor. How about you? Because there's an element of that of get it before they do. Take the opportunity out of the jaws of your competitors, and corporate people tend to think that way.
The bandwagon approach, or get it before your other folks do, because everyone's going to be here at some point. Sean, I think is what the dream is, right? Where people are gonna want to be a part of it,
but
either now or in the future.
The narrative of benefits is what's going to motivate those people to take the action, to get them to sign up as a sponsor, to get them to sign up as an attendee. What's in it for me has to be the dominant theme.
Right. And so then that again, the challenge I have. So a lot of people will say, well, I'm a Christian. I immediately go right in my head, oh, I know what that means. And it's not what they're saying. It's what I think they're saying. So when I say online event, a lot of people go, oh, it's Zoom. They're going to be breakout rooms. And it's going to be it's going to be the Anthony Robbins 50 things. And I'm not going to be able to find that one person because I got to go through all these chats. And there's going to be 10,000 chats. I'm going to try to private this one person. No. It's not that. It's like you can talk with that one person at a table and you can pop out until they experience that. It's like chocolate. This is literally like the best thing, that I'm offering is the community of people, and you meeting that one person. But I can't tell you what chocolate tastes like. It's an experience that you must not miss.
Tastes like chicken, man.
So what you're doing is you're redefining a category, because
right.
They think that you're a Zoom. It's like you walk into the grocery store, you think you're in the soup aisle, and you're saying it's like soup, but it's not soup.
Right.
So you needed a word to describe that and to embody all those things to be efficient.
It's going to be a lot of. So this is where I got to be the influencer, and I got to start doing the Instagrams and the Snapchats and the YouTube reels. And I've got to be the guy out there. I probably won't be wearing this hat, but Perry Belcher gave me this hat and it fits really well and I like it. But anyhow, the point that I'm making is that I've got to be the front man, which I've been trying to avoid for over a decade.
You don't have to be the front man. Go find a front man, bro.
Paul Sokol is the front man. No, I have to do it. I've tried getting other people to do it. The message has to come from me and from my heart.
It's got to be incandescent for whoever that person is,
Yeah.
because it's got to be authentic, and it's totally your mission. And it
And you can
is.
tell when I start talking about this, you could hear the passion coming out. Like people, once they go to one, they're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, that was like amazing. I got to go back."
Mhm.
It's like never been on a roller coaster before, and you go on a roller coaster, you're like, "Why didn't I go on this before?"
It was scary, Sean.
Yeah.
That's why it was
Yeah.
a little scary.
So I hear a lot of discussion. I hear you communicating the vision. I like that. We've had a conversation about the who. We've had a little conversation about the event. To the messaging of getting people to enroll in it is the thing that most people don't spend enough time on. Is to create a powerful emotional message with benefits for them.
Right.
I mean, if you're, because the tendency that we that are doing it, as soon as you get exposed to an idea, you start thinking about how you're going to do it. There's 10 different ways of doing it. Paul will have his way, you'll have your way, I'll have my way. So that is some of how we relate at conferences. Being able to peek at someone else's playbook or the plays they've run in the past. But the key is to get the most powerful messages out that are simple and emotional. You want to get it. I actually working with this guy, this New York Times best-selling author that writes a bunch of books on marketing. I'm in his mastermind. I talk to him every week. He worked at the Ted Bates agency back in the day, the one that Mad Men is based on. So they were a specialist in creating taglines. They did plop plop fizz fizz, melts in your mouth, not in your hand, little taglines like that that incorporate the essence of a benefit and a difference. So when you're saying that we're sort of an online conference, but it's not Zoom, that tells us that there's category confusion. There's an opportunity to put a label on it that would explain what it is and do it in a way that makes you a unique benefit that's more
Right.
beneficial for them. So that I would say you have one project to figure out how to create some language that encompasses the ideas of that in 6 words or less. It's not more words.
Well,
More
I'll,
words
well,
worse.
it's meet that one person. That's the thing. But the thing is, it's the education. So on Shark Tank, they one of the ways that I'm doing this is educating people. Is what we're doing right now. This live stream. So we're gonna have more people. I do this every Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Well, Pacific right now. It's actually Arizona time, but Pacific for right now, and then it'll change the mountain. Anyhow, you guys can share this live stream to your social media, so I can have up to 6 people in this restream streaming out to their live streams, and it's going to be me talking about this. Now the thing is with what you're saying about the education part, I have to be that guy at Best Buy or at Nordstrom or at uh what's the REI, and there's a new backpack. Now we can't now this backpack, when I put it in my closet, it will flatten to the size of a piece of paper. I just can't go to REA and put the backpacks out there and say, "Hey, come buy this backpack." I got to have someone there flattening it, and when people come in and showing them, look, you want this thing because you can put 20 of them in your closet, So that's my job. I have to educate people.
Well, you
I
got
see.
to you
I
got to
see.
communicate the benefit with a crisp story of 6 words or less.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, I mean, heck, yeah, you can do it, show, and you just say the flattest backpack and pop it out there.
Yeah.
I think that's what Craig's getting at is
My
we
my
just need
main thing is meet that one person, come to a conference and meet that one person that's going to help you grow your business. That's
that's
like
more
the
than 6 words. Yeah, no,
So,
I'll work with him on this Craig.
so the
well,
big
it's going to be based on meet that one person.
the big idea that I wanted to share is you got to create a microscript, like a tagline that communicates a benefit and a difference. Because there's a lot of different taglines you can come up with that make sense to you, but they have to be understandable and repeatable by other people. So what you wanted, the language that is the core of your brand is when if somebody's been to it and they said, What was it like? What did you get from it? And whatever, if you shut up and listen to what they say, whatever they say about the event, that is the brand, that is the promise, because it's been filtered away from what we're saying into what they heard, what they understood, and what they can repeat. So it's the repeatable portion of the benefit story using the language that they use. That is what you want to do. So I'm doing that I'm using that technique for launching a brand of men's skincare products with a client, with a friend of mine. And so we formulated the product, we built in the languaging, we got an idea of what we want to say about it. So we're now made 50 samples of it, and we're going out giving people the experience of it and then recording what they say about it afterwards. Because what they say about the experience after having been exposed to the physical product and our language, that is the message we ought to go to, because it's the simplest, purest way. It's like the distilled essence of the communication. So, like what we're doing is beer, and what they're giving us is tequila. They've distilled down the essence of it, and so that is what we will use to advertise with. The messages we'll use that came out of the voice of the customers, the people that were interested in the product, and that's what we use to build them back.
So would you find that in the testimonials?
Pardon me?
Maybe.
Would you find that in the testimonials, that message?
I might. You might.
I mean, the testimonials, you might find it in an email that they write to you. You may find it on like a social media comment.
Yeah.
So I was got to be looking for that.
So let me ask you guys a question. When you guys signed up for this live stream that we're doing right now, did you share to your social media as well?
Yeah.
No.
Because it's free content.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
With the voice and demeanor, you are the.
But if it's not your demographic, I don't want it going out. I have people all the time. Hey, Sean, would you blast out to your list? I'm like, absolutely not, man. My guys they're brokers, investors, and marketers. They don't want to learn how to write a book.
Yeah. Yeah, my social feeds are mostly friends and family and that stuff. And then my business social is small business owners. So this is not a narrative that they would be interested in. This is the one their employees would be interested in.
Exactly. They would have that one super nerd on their team, or if they used to be the super nerd, now they've paid a super nerd on their team to do it. Maybe they would attend, but probably, probably someone on their team.
So a way of making simple this little microscript idea that I wanted to give you, the idea is telling the story in 6 words or less. Probably the best example of a 6-word story or 6-word or less story is one written many years ago by Ernest Hemingway. And it says, baby shoes, never worn. That almost writes a story in your mind, doesn't it? That you want that quality, that it's like, so tell me more about that kind of quality to it. Because it kind of tells you something and it creates a situation in a very few number of words. And then immediately you're kind of dialed into that level of your psyche. That makes sense?
Did you say her name was Nevermore?
No.
Oh.
No, it was baby shoes, never worn.
Oh, never worn.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, never worn. So it's a few number of words that transports you into an area of a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of curiosity. And then you want to investigate. Tell me more about that. That's kind of the quality of a really good thing. Or it summarizes, something like melts in your mouth, not in your hand, which is communicating a benefit or difference in the product. It's making a difference, a benefit.
What if I said sex, money, now that I got your attention? No? That doesn't work?
Unless you're selling one of those two things. I don't think we
I'm
are.
always selling one of those two things. So, and since I've been doing this for years and I've been writing the content and the copy, I have a lot of content for this, a ton of it. And again, it all comes down to meet that one person. Like when you go to an event, like what are you really doing there? You're trying to meet that one person. It might be the speaker, but that one person that's going to give you that piece of information or develop that relationship that's going to take your business to the next level, right? I am next level. And so that's really everything behind this. So there's two things is my core. I have my core values, but my main thing is how do I want to make a difference in the how do I make a difference in the most people's lives at one time? So what I want to do is make a powerful impact with the most amount of people that I can at one time. That's these events. And the second thing is so that they can meet that one person.
But what's in it for me as an attendee?
Yeah.
I think the conference would be better served if it was titled something like "The Missing Piece," and then what it does is it might be that the missing piece is a person you've never met, a technique that you don't
Right.
know about, some software you don't know about, and then it kind of tells you what your journey is to go find your missing piece, and there should be a quiz in there to help them sort out what is it that they think they're looking for, and then make suggestions on how they can best find it.
Yeah. That's all great when I got a lot of people coming in. But what a lot of people don't know when you I've had most of my events I think have been successful compared to other guys I know because they just go in like seamless and they download 10,000 emails, they blast them out, they have 12 people show up. I have over 50 people show up, but I pick this thing up and I make hundreds and hundreds of phone calls. And I tell people, come to my event. What's your email? I'm going to put you in now, and I do all this stuff. But a lot of it, to get butts and seats, you got to make a lot of phone calls and you got to drag people. You got to drag these lazy people out of their comfort zone and say, come to my event. All you got to do is click on a button. And it's hard to get people to even click on the button, let alone get off their ass and come to the restaurant where we're having like free food.
But if you offer a benefit that's clear enough and convincing enough that they're going to get something
I
that's
get
a
that.
benefit to
But
them.
if you do a survey before then, until you're big enough. So I had this guy. This is one of the reasons I lost it at the mastermind that Paul and I were in. There was a guy sitting there going, "Oh, well, we just had an event," and he's bragging like he was like Mr. the Man, and he's like, "We had 9,000 people there." At the end of his long, eloquent speech of how amazing he was, I said, "What did you do?" He goes, "Well, I just did the analytics," and I'm like, "Dude, that's like you being a bookkeeper and going, hey." We just made $1 million. Well, how did you make it? Well, I'm just a bookkeeper. Well, you didn't do F all to generate that $1 million. I'm the one that has to get the butts and seats. And I don't want to, in the beginning here, I don't want to go, hey, come to my event, answer these 10 questions. I just want to go, I got to go, come to my event, just come. You're going to have a great time. Once they get in there, then we can start doing the surveys afterwards.
Yeah.
It's kind of like set the appointment, then do the survey. And then when I have a lot of quality traffic, then do the survey, now set the appointment.
Well, I'm a big believer if you communicate clearly enough a benefit message to people and then you expose them to it, you'll be able to find the people that are motivated by what you're offering.
Right. But I don't have $100,000 to do that. I have like my time and a phone call. And trust me, when I'm 3 hours in making phone calls, and if people knew what it took to get 50 people into an event or 100 people, if people knew what it really takes for a guy like me starting out, they would go, wow, Sean, just keep doing what you're doing because people are showing up,
Well, I want to offer an alternative way of thinking about it because you're using effort, which you're not being fully compensated for.
No.
Being on the phone with those people. So what you want to do is to come up with an automated way of recruiting people into the event
Right.
And so then you get into the basics of creating a cold traffic campaign, which is different than a warm traffic campaign. Because
Right.
by calling people, you're creating a warm traffic in a situation. And
So
which
we're
is
at the
different.
top of the hour. One of the things now, Paul and I talk every Friday at 9 a.m. Is it 9 a.m., Paul?
Yeah.
So you're welcome to come there. I do this every Monday at 8 a.m. So if you guys want to show up next Monday, we're going to be we're going to be talking nerd stuff on these live streams, but it's promoting the Automated Marketing Summit.
It's
So when I
kind
have
of
more,
meta.
huh?
It's very meta. It's like a behind the scenes of how this event comes to be.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like, and it's not even. It's kind of like mass control. Is like what I'm doing is inviting you guys here, and you live stream out to your audience. You're gonna be building content for yourself, which is quality. I think this is quality content, even though it's a stream of consciousness. I'm getting world-class implementers and world-class marketing people on this line. And so I think I'm not saying I'm world-class, but I'm kind of smart. So when they stream out to their events, more people are going to come. They're going to go, well, I need to know about automatedmarketingsummit.com.
So I think that you have to seriously think about creating a better name, a microscript, that would convey a benefit and a difference. Because you're already having to use a bunch of words, which is not what we do in marketing. You want to create as much impact as you can with the least number of words. And so you've got this area where you're in a category and you're misplaced. It's like you're in the soup aisle, but you're really a pasta.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
And that's a great idea. And we could do that because remember, these were purchased, if you look at them, in 2018. Or was it 2020? I think during the pandemic is when I started.
Domains. Okay.
It could have been 2019. But when I started doing these, so like I said, it's not, business investor conference. People hate that one. My guys that are investors, that are Wall Street guys that live in 10,000 square foot homes, they're like, Sean, I don't even get it. What does business investor conference mean? It means you're a business investor in this conference. They're like, I don't know why I'd go to that. I'm like, because you're a business investor and it's a conference.
no, you're not hearing them, because what they're telling
No,
you
dude,
is,
I'm telling you, I bought the domain and then I get the feedback.
okay, I know, but that's the process of marketing. It's always this recursive.
Right.
I think what I do is I ruminate on things a lot, which is like Groundhog Day, again and again and again until you figure it out. And what they're telling you, I mean, I ruminate. That's, I think, the gift that I have for my clients is I ruminate on my marketing all the time. Like, what did I learn? What'll get me to the next level? So what they're telling you is you're not communicating a benefit that's relevant to me.
Right.
You're describing an activity I could take, but why would I choose to do it, is what they're saying to you.
Right.
And you're
But
saying,
it's
because you're
also,
the kind of person it's designed for. And it's like,
and-
great, I might be the right person, but give me a reason why I need to invest my precious time
but then again,
into
it
this.
may not be for people like him because again, that guy, he's an investment banker, and I know him. I better not say it. He's a business partner of mine, and I love him. He's a kind and gentle person, and he's a great dad. But my events are bigger than his.
Hey, Sean, consider that you're not fully in his context such that he's listening to it in the way that you also listen to it. So that's a middle scratcher for you. Because because you're describing what it is, and then they have a slightly different context for themselves.
Right. And so what I can do is I can go into my where I have a lot of business investors with Roland Frazier, and I could say, what do you guys think of this name? And those are the guys that are going to go, I like it or I don't like it.
Right. So
wrong question. What do you like isn't the thing that is what you need. It's, would you be interested in attending a conference named this, or this?
Yeah. And I actually called all those guys, and I made probably about 50 phone calls, and I said, hey, I have a business investor conference coming up. Would you be interested in going to it? And they'd go, yes, absolutely. But I didn't say the name in the domain, which was Business Investor Conference. So, you know, that it's test, throw mud at the wall, see what works, see what doesn't. But we are at the top of the hour. I know you guys got to go, and I don't have a hard stop. I'd love to talk to you more, but I would love to have you guys back next week. And I'm looking for some more people. But remember, have great audio and less background noise. So
And
the
here,
thing
before
is,
we cut out, because I was
huh?
working on Craig's exercise, right? Like trying to get a plop, plop, fizz, fizz out of this.
Yeah.
What about this for a 6-word story that's actually got 1 word left over, you know, to stay lean? Meet your next secret weapon.
I like that. It's a benefit. There's an implied
That's
benefit, and it makes
version
you
1.
different. It makes you different, and it conveys the possibility of a benefit to them.
Meet your next secret weapon, because again, it's all about super nerds at these summits.
Right.
So,
But are you saying that for a domain or for the
no,
Tagline.
it's just part of the messaging. Like the
Tagline.
domain be
Right.
shown needs to take a shower.com.
now? Remember this. Everything lies under Sean Snowday Presents.
Whatever.
So Sean Snowday Presents, Craig on a podcast. Sean Snowday Presents, you know, this summit.
Sure.
Sean Snowday Presents, you know, this. So it's all falls under that umbrella.
But the big idea that's important is our minds work about how we're going to do something. That's the what. That's marketing automation. That's not the story that's in people's mind. What people want. Why do people like marketing automation? Is because with less effort you get more customers, or you improve your conversion rates. So the right kind of languaging would convey that in a few words.
All right.
I
Well, I like
that's-
meet
that's-
your next secret weapon.
That's why Paul's thing works so well.
And it's not granola or
Version 1.
rainbows or waterfalls.
It assumes their context, and then it moves us into a benefit story for them.
Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, how sweet it is. You remember that, right,
So
Sean?
should I hear this when I say that?
Sure.
This would probably be a. By the way, this is Silly Hat Show too. Next week, show up with a silly hat.
No, this hat's not silly. Here, I'll show up with a Ninja Turtle mask, but it'll probably green screen.
No. Oh, there you go. That was wonderful. All right, kids, we got to go. How are we going to wrap this up? I'll wrap it up. Hey, everybody, we have something coming up called the Automating Marketing Summit, December 1st from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific. And that's going to be December 1st. It's on a Friday. Don't miss it. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have sponsors. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have Jeremy Shapiro from Fuse Desk. And we're going to have Jeremiah the Shark Sarkett speaking. Don't miss it. We'll see you then.
Meet your next secret weapon.